Ovalle is founder of Maine Life Media, a boutique production company based in Portland, Maine. Maine Life Media creates custom content promoting lifestyle in Maine. The company has produced 5 half-hour TV shows airing both state and New England-wide. Erin, her husband Jason, and fur baby Baxter love boating, skiing, and trying new restaurants. They are also getting ready to be first-time parents to a baby boy. Welcome to the PR Maven Podcast, a podcast all about growing your network and building your brand through traditional and digital networking techniques. I'm Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven and CEO of Marshall Communications. I've been strengthening brands through PR for over 35 years, and now I'm celebrating the success of executives, influencers, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all around the world, all of whom have cultivated their brands and broadened their networks through traditional and digital networking methods. Each week, I interview one of these interesting and influential individuals and provide an opportunity for you, the PR Maven Nation, to gain insights from their strategies and stories. So stay tuned for this week's episode, and thanks for listening. So, Erin, tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
Well, thanks for having me, Nancy. My career started out like I think a lot of college kids, not knowing what they want to do. And so my senior year, I went to my college advisor and said, how can I have more direction? I was a speech communications major, but my focus was pretty broad. And she said, why don't you apply for an internship? And so when I think of media, I thought of TV. And so I applied for an internship at WMUR in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire is where I'm from, but I was in school in Massachusetts. So I would drive on Tuesdays and Thursdays, in the morning to do overnights or morning shifts at WMUR in the newsroom. And that's really how I was introduced to TV and broadcast journalism. I had no idea about the industry and really had a knack for it. And at the end of one broadcast, they said, you should sit in the anchor seat and read the teleprompter and see how you do. And I did, and they taped it for me. And then they sent it out to an internship in Illinois where I was accepted. It's pretty competitive. Only, I think, 12 to 14 people are accepted in college. And I was in Illinois the day after I graduated, and here I am.
That's a great story. And actually, internships are really powerful, I feel.
Hands-on learning for me. I mean, a lot of the folks in the industry I've met have gone to Emerson or BU and Syracuse, these big broadcasting schools. And I didn't have that, but I did have the hands-on experience, which I think, I tell kids if I want to be in journalism, what should I do? And I don't think you necessarily need to go to school for this. I think it's good to have some background in classes behind you, but interning and getting your hands-on experience and shadowing others in the industry is huge.
Exactly. And having a curious mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Asking a lot of questions, which I still do every day.
Yeah. Well, I think my curiosity, some people might call it bordering on nosiness.
We're cut from the same cloth. When I met you, I was an instant connection.
Yeah, right. We just like to know.
I'm very curious, but I've been like that my whole life. My grandfather always made me tell him stories when I was little because my imagination was so big. And I think a lot about where I am today. And so much of it is stemmed from my childhood and just being, exploring and asking and being curious. And I still am that way.
And I know you have a wonderful mother, Mama Jo. And I'm sure she always encouraged you and gave you support.
She has been my rock, yeah. I get emotional when I talk about it because she's a single mom and it wasn't always easy for her. But I hear her story about struggling when I was a baby and being little. And she wanted me to have every opportunity that any other kid, would have. And so she really pushed me to try different things, whether it be fishing or ballet to singing, acting, soccer, softball, all these different activities she put me in.
And isn't that great? Because in your show, we're kind of jumping ahead right now, but in your show, Main Life, you try all these different things on TV. And I'm oftentimes watching and saying, wow, she is brave.
Yeah, I've done some things that my poor mother, I have to tell her after the fact, like flying with the Blue Angels. That was not easy for her to accept because she's scared of heights and it's kind of scary going up in the fighter jet.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, the only thing I think I haven't done yet is skydiving. I've done bungee jumping and stuff, but skydiving.
Will you do that?
Well, somebody emailed me the other day and asked if I wanted to, and I fortunately said I'm pregnant, so I have an excuse for at least the next 9 or so months, but yes, I don't know.
And congratulations.
Thank you, Auntie Nancy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, I know how much you love your boys. So.
Yes, I know. I think little boys are the greatest.
Well, yeah, I take inspiration from people like you and our friend Lisa, who has a boy.
That's right.
I'll take all the advice from our listeners, please. First time for everything.
Yeah. Just make sure they know you love them. That's always been my rule.
Well, if you've seen my dog and my relationship with him, I love very much
Baxter.
Baxter, little baby Baxter.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep up on Baxter on your Instagram.
He's just a little personality. I don't think he knows he's a dog. I really don't. My fault for treating him like a little human, but he's so freaking funny. I love him so much.
He's going to be quite jealous when this baby comes along.
Yeah, I know. I've already been reading about it and how to make sure he still knows he's my firstborn.
That's so funny. So, Erin, you were a news reporter prior to starting Main Life, and then you switched gears. What influenced that decision?
So I started getting the entrepreneurial itch, and my dad was an entrepreneur, and I think, again, just talking to him and watching him just really sparked my curiosity of how to build a business and do your own thing and follow your own dreams and work really hard. And not to say I didn't enjoy my time on the news. I did and I didn't. But that year was 2015. I started just getting this real itch, 2014-15, because I first started Style Me Portland, which was my boutique and salon. And the news station allowed me to do that because I was anchoring the morning show, and then I would leave and work on my business plan and that store. And so that was my first taste of entrepreneurship, and I loved it. I loved creating. I loved seeing something from nothing grow. And then, so say about 6 months later, I was on the news in the morning with my co-anchor Megan, and it was a really dark news day. It was ISIS. There was a fire, some political thing that was happening in Augusta. It just was not a fun day to be on the news. And I looked over to her and I said, what if we create a show that talks about the positive stories that aren't being covered because either we don't have enough staff at the news stations. A lot of the news stations are all covering the same top story every day. And I don't understand. In my head, I was like, why? Like, I get it, obviously, but we can't get to the good stories often. The traditional media, they don't have the resources and it's just not their platform. So I looked at her and she was wearing a sweatshirt after the show that said Mom Life. And I said, what if we created a show called Main Life? And she looked at me and smiled and was like, yeah, that's cute. And I Googled how to start your own TV show. And I never looked back. And I started creating it in my head and started putting it on paper. And then I left in the fall of 2015 to start.
That's fantastic. I mean, you've created such a brand and you have sort of what I would call a tribe of Maine lifers.
I love that. Thanks.
Yeah, you do. And you have raving fans, including me.
Aw. It's fun to meet people that enjoy my shows and who enjoy the content and get excited about it, because I get excited about it. So to know that I'm making an impact on them makes me really happy.
Well, I was so happy when I was able to introduce you to Andrew Silsby from Kennebec Savings Bank. And of course, as you know, oftentimes when I'm watching, I'll take a picture and send it to both of you, because it just gives me such a good feeling that I was able to bring you two together, and that he has played such a big role and the bank has played such a big role, especially in highlighting Central Maine.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know a lot about Central Maine. So, one of your questions, I don't want to jump ahead, but I know that a lot of people ask me about how I develop my story ideas. And of course, I do my own research and my team helps, but my sponsors and advertisers and friends really help give me ideas, because the state is so big. There's so much to know. I really rely on folks like Andrew, who grew up in Central Maine, love Central Maine, work in Central Maine, and rely on him for story ideas,
Oh, yeah. And I know that he's passionate about Central Maine, and he really enjoys sharing those stories.
Yeah. And there's always something new to talk about. I never feel like even if we go to Augusta 5 different times, or Waterville or any other area, there's something new always happening to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. So what is it about Maine that you love so much?
I love Maine. I think every year that I grow up, I feel a new appreciation for our state. I had a hard time when I first moved here for a few reasons, but and I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. But I think that the hardworking people, they're down to earth, whether they are, from a modest family income to a privileged background, they all, for the most part, I find, are kind and down to earth and just have this Maine way about them. Even if they're from away, they're moving here for that reason, I think, a lot of the people I meet. And it pushes, I love the outdoors, but it really pushes me to go out and explore more. And I just wouldn't have it any other way. I look at my friends who live in different states, and I think, wow, do we have it all? We have the ocean and the mountains and the lakes and the restaurants and the artists and the music and these entrepreneurs who can, grow their dreams. And I don't know that, and I've lived in several different states all over the country, and I have friends all over the world. And I don't know that there's a place I can say I would want to move to that feels that same way.
Yeah, that's what we call the Maine mystique.
Yeah.
And it's hard to just describe it in a few words. There's something magic about it.
Well, I find it interesting, especially during these times, that a lot of people who have finally said enough is enough with their busy, hectic life and are moving here because they're finally saying it's time to follow that mystique, which I don't know how I feel about, but we're in tough times. So whatever people need to do.
That's right. Well, actually, I think for me, COVID has been pretty good because, as you know, I'm an extreme extrovert, and COVID has forced me to kind of take a step back and slow down a little bit, and as you said, re-examine my priorities.
Definitely has, in a good way.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to find that silver lining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've launched some new shows. Tell us about your new shows in addition to Maine Life.
Yeah. Well, first I'll back up from last year, because that was the year that I really started feeling like Maine Life was in a good position and that I could start to think about expanding. It's taken me a solid 4 to 5 years to really find that groove with Maine Life, and I'm so happy that I found it. And so last year, I was feeling really comfortable and confident that I created This Is Maine and Places and Spaces to kind of test out the market and the interest. This Is Maine is very similar to Maine Life, but it's broadcast on New England Sports Network because some of my sponsors and advertisers, like Live and Work in Maine, of course, want to promote living and working in Maine, but they really want to get the message out because large companies like WEX have a hard time retaining and finding talent. So I partnered with Nesson, which was a super cool experience. throughout New England learning about different TV shows and ways that people go about doing these independent shows like I do. So I launched that, very successful. And then I called up after I knew I could juggle two things at once. I called New Center, Maine and said, do you have a slot for me to try this pilot season of Places and Spaces? And I have a lot of friends who are artists, decorators, designers, architects, real estate brokers. I love real estate. I'm fine decorating and creating a whole new art. So I launched that and loved it. And it did really well. And I think it also showed that New Center, Maine, that I could do two really high quality shows at once. And so when Bill Green retired, that opened up, that half hour. So I had no idea what was going to happen with it, but I met like I do yearly with New Center, Maine. And I said, can I pitch you 3 new concepts? One being Places and Spaces Season 2, and the other Cheers from Maine, which follows our craft distillers and brewers and makers, and also Dock and Dine, which airs in the summertime. And that is just my passion of boating and the water, whether it's our lakes regions or the ocean. And I didn't know that show was going to start diving into our fishing heritage, but it kind of took a spin on, yes, where to dock and where to dine, but also what that working waterfront potentially in that area looks like and how important it is to maintain our heritage in Maine. And so I didn't know that was going to be part of the show, and it's blossomed, and I love it, and I'm learning so much.
And you actually have other people hosting those shows, which is something new for you too, I'm sure.
I know. It's funny and hard and exciting all at once, if that makes sense. It's been fun though to teach and to find, I'll use Katie Shorey as an example. She had no TV experience, but I knew she's very well spoken. She's interested in Maine. She loves Maine, and I knew she could do it. So our first, it's awkward. Like you're in front of a camera. You don't know where to look. It takes time. But she's a natural, and we've had a lot of laughs.
Well, I think part of that, too, is the reason that Maine has its mystique is because of authenticity and the fact that you've taken someone like Katie Shorey, who's an authentically, real person and kind of made her into a TV host. So I'm sure that's part of the appeal for your viewers as well.
I got to say, I love, love, love Maine life. It's my baby and I love hosting it. But it is nice to be behind the camera sometimes or producing from home and being able to have some downtime to create and let my brain actually work and not be so noisy, So that has been actually healthy for me too.
Well, yeah. I think stepping away from the everyday freneticism is the best way to allow your mind to be creative.
Yeah. So I'm very happy with them. I'm proud of my team, and I get goosebumps every time the shows come on. My husband and I try to watch it live every weekend, and I know that I do a good job when he's very interested and not on his phone, or he's wants to see where I am. I don't share where I'm really going beforehand with him, so I think family is your biggest supporter and kind of sometimes your biggest critic.
Right, exactly.
When I get his approval.
We had some viewing parties at Sugarloaf back in the day, which were pretty fun at the Sugarloaf Inn. So I'm looking forward to the day when we can do that again.
Yeah, season 6 coming up next year, 2021.
Well, we're going to take a short break now, but first I want to tell you about my new book, which is called Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand. And it's available now on Amazon.com as a paperback and Kindle edition. And actually, I recorded it here at the Portland Pod, so it will be available on Audible as well.
Great.
So
good job.
You can listen to me.
We do listen to you. I can't get enough of that Nancy laugh.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be giving away a free Kindle version of the book if you go to prmaven.com/giveaway. So we'll be back with more from Erin Ovalle in just a moment.
Do you want to grow your client or customer base? Perhaps increase brand awareness? Maybe tell your unique story more effectively? Of course you do. But you may be worried that you don't have enough expertise to make that happen. Well, no worries, PR Maven Nation. Let the PR maven herself, Nancy Marshall, show you how easy it is to get your message across effectively using a powerful yet simple tool, a message map. Nancy's training is often called informative and constructive, well-designed and impactful, with a perfect blend of theory and real-life experience. You will leverage Nancy's expertise to create your own message map when you register for this comprehensive online video training course, which is broken down into 4 easy-to-understand modules. Normally, this course is priced at $147, but for listeners of the PR Maven podcast, that's you, PR Maven Nation, it's only $29 when you enter the code word podcast during enrollment. It even includes a workbook and bonus content to guide you through the process. So go to prmaven.com and click on the Message Map Mastery course to enroll today. Remember, enter the word podcast during enrollment for a special discounted price of $29.
Welcome back. And today we're talking with Erin Ovalle, host of Main Life TV. And I want to dive right back in with more questions for Erin. So tell us about some of your favorite stories on Main Life.
That's such a good question, and I get it asked a lot. And I would have to kind of, unfortunately, be broad about it because there are every time I go and shoot something new, I swear that's my favorite episode or interview. And then the next weekend, it's the same feeling. But I will say the goosebumps, and even, if you know me, I'm pretty emotional, and I tear up sometimes hearing the stories of small business owners who started from nothing. And they've created this brand for themselves, whether it be an art gallery or a restaurant or their tour guides or whatever it is. They work so hard and they're so passionate, and I get so excited to share those stories. And every time I get goosebumps hearing how they started and the people in the community that have supported them.
Well, as you and I both know, it takes so much to start a business.
It does.
It takes everything. And tenacity, persistence, grit, vision, and sometimes a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
Either good luck or sometimes, unfortunately, bad luck.
It's funny. I totally agree with you. And I think, obviously, nothing good happens if you don't work hard. But being in the right place at the right time and knowing the opportunity and going after it, when that door opens just a little bit, you better go in and see what's on the other side, or you'll never know. And I think, as much as I don't like some of the sales part of my job and pitching, I take a deep breath and I open that door and I say, here we go. If it's a no, it's a no, but I've got to try. And that's hard. It's uncomfortable sometimes. So I think the people I've met encourage me, in a way, to keep going and keep exploring and trying and pushing myself, because it's, I'm running a business too. I think some people mistaken, they associate with me still from the news. So I don't know that everybody knows that I run my own company. So that's been something I've been trying to educate people on, that Main Life Media is a separate company than, obviously, News Center Maine. I am independent. So I get it. I get the grit. I get the long nights.
Yeah. Makes me think of my son, Craig, who's in a sales career now in Newton, Mass. And, sometimes, he has to make cold calls on small businesses. And sometimes people say, I don't want to see you again.
Yeah.
And he still goes back. And it's got to be so hard, but I'm so grateful that he has that thing, whatever it is that he got from his mother, I think, which allows him to separate. Even if somebody is saying no, it's not because they don't like him as a person. It's
right.
Sometimes it's just them. So.
Yep. Yeah, or at the right time.
Exactly.
So I've definitely, my skin is thicker now than it was when I first started.
Yeah. And you keep going, which is so admirable. Because it's really easy just to say, "Oh, that's not working," and
believe me, it's crossed my mind, but never for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah. I'm so grateful. So, what is your vision for the future as you look ahead?
I feel like a lot of people right now, because of COVID, have had the opportunity to kind of sit back and reevaluate their priorities and their goals. And so I'm looking into next year. I wonder, where I'll be in terms of all these new shows. I mean, I have 5 shows going, so that's a lot. But I give credit to my team. We, in the beginning of any new season, it's hectic and crazy, but we've really found a good rhythm. So potentially continuing and creating these shows again and new seasons. But also, I was mentioning earlier, there was a big conference out in California that was canceled, but I really want to start exploring outside of Maine, other producers, and I'll never leave Maine and I'll never stop telling stories in Maine. But really, I think as an entrepreneur, it's important to grow and learn from others. And I'm one of the only ones in Maine doing what I'm doing. So it's hard to connect with folks to grow and learn from them. So I really want to start, connecting, whether it be online or in person someday safely, how to grow my brand or grow my content. Just like maybe I should read your book.
Yeah.
But I think, this has made Nessun opened a lot of doors for me, growing my New England audience and talking and promoting Maine. So that's something I want to learn more about. I just got a little taste of it, and it was really eye-opening and exciting.
One of the clients we work with is called Discover New England, which is a New England-wide tourism promotion organization that promotes the New England region internationally.
Yeah.
And this region of the country has a lot of cachet because people in Europe and beyond are just charmed by the little villages and the
lighthouses,
exactly,
and lobster.
little white churches with the church spire, and there's so many things that we might take for granted that just don't exist in other parts of the world. So there's a lot to this whole region that can be.
So, I just took a vacation and we took our boat out and we saw Monhegan Island. I've been there before, but not for a few years. It is this amazing island out in the middle of the ocean with goats on one side and these villages that, there's no cars. It's just so special. And I've never been to Ireland. I would love to visit, but it reminds me of something out of that fairy tale storybook that's where we get to live every day.
Yeah.
And it's so cool.
And there's a lot of artists who flock to Monhegan because it is so beautiful.
We live in the coolest state.
Yeah, we do. I agree. So, Erin, what role do your sponsors play in your business model, and how is your model different from traditional television programming?
I think it was pretty neat to watch the industry shift back 5 years ago when I started with the sponsored content and what I say advertorial is. Obviously, journalism is journalism, and you need to follow the ethical rules of journalism and telling both sides. Well, lifestyle content is different. I try to stay away from everything that the news covers because that is the opposite of where I want to go.
Right.
I want to be the outlet, for people that want something different and positive. So I researched a lot and asked a lot of questions as newspapers and magazines and TV were shifting to that sponsored content model. And so not everything on my show is sponsored, but I do have sponsors like Andrew Silsby and Hannaford who I integrate. Not only do I give them the 30-second commercial spots that the traditional media gives, but I integrate them in their products and their clients because Andrew's clients are small business owners and Hannaford's producers are local Maine farmers and creators. And it's a natural fit for my storytelling to partner with them. And they get obviously more exposure that way in a very organic, I think, integrated way so that when you're watching the show, maybe underlying that Hannaford is a sponsor or partner, but it's really about the story that Hannaford is telling through their supermarkets. So I call my sponsors sometimes product placement. I bring them in as my co-host or storytellers because just like you and me, like Andrew Silsby is a president of a big bank, but he's also a Mainer, and he loves his lake, his camp, and loves fishing and his dog, and he's a real person. And I think it's important to showcase that, and I don't know, really a lot of people that are doing that. And that model is, I know people have some pushback on it, but for me, it's been successful.
Well, other people are like you and me as well, as far as being curious. And I think that people are always curious about who are the real personalities behind a certain business. And you're helping tell those stories. And I love it when you have a person telling the story of a product that they're selling in Hannaford. And it just gives that product so much more, a stronger brand. I mean, and that's what branding is all about, is telling the story.
I just received an email yesterday from Hannaford, who obviously benefit from this. However, Jack Dawson took over his grandfather's vanilla company in 1906. It was created, Mount Williams Dolan Flavor Company, and their sales are up 200% because of these, tracking these promos and the stories and I'm so happy for Jack. He is the nicest human, and his family's worked hard since 1906 to create this amazing vanilla, and I just find that makes me so happy.
I know that story resonated with me. I can picture exactly where you guys were sitting when he was telling his story.
So sweet.
Yeah, I also have sought out his product because of that.
It's really good vanilla. It's not just a good story. It's really good vanilla.
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
As we've been baking during COVID.
Oh my God, I've been trying to learn.
So, as you know, on my podcast, I love to talk about how growing a network helps to grow a brand, because then you have raving fans and brand ambassadors, and you have created this hashtag Maine Lifer. And of course, Lauren Sterling, who actually was the one, she was the one who introduced the two of us at the, I think, Duck Fat or East Ender restaurant in Portland 3 years ago.
I love her. You and her and so many other women, Beth Schischler, Lisa DeSisto. I have such amazing female mentors that have supported me and encouraged me. And whenever I see her Instagram posts, we might go a month or two without talking, and she hashtags Maine Lifers, and I want to reach through the screen and give her a big hug, because it's so kind of her to, and all of my lady friends to be there for me and to give me honest advice too, it's not always good feedback or what I want to hear, but I'd say growing my network is genuinely because I like people and I like to learn from you. I like to learn from other, especially female business owners who have more experience than I do or a different experience. And I just reach out all the time. Can I talk to you? Like Felicia Knight, for example, she's like, who is this girl 10 years ago? Can I take you to lunch? And every year we go to lunch, and I take her to lunch, and she's been, and she said to me, I don't agree with this, but I'm proud of you for following what you believe in. And it's just, I feel really lucky. But I, again, knock on the door and, hello, I'm Erin. Can I talk to you?
Well, it's very flattering too for someone like me to have someone like you ask for advice. And I know there have been times when things have been tough for you and you've said, how do you keep going? And sometimes I've been at a loss for words, because believe me, there's been tough times over the 30 years I've had my business as well. There's been times when I'm like, oh, wow, why can't I just have a normal job?
Yep. No, I think a lot of business owners feel that way. But It's nice to have our network.
Yes, it is.
Push each other.
Yeah. So I think that everyone using the hashtag Maine Lifer is a great idea, and that helps build your brand on social media, which is so vital.
Yeah, it's been really natural for me, because everything I do has to, do with promoting Maine, and so I really, I'm not the only one that uses the hashtag Maine Life, but I've trademarked my little, category, and I'm very proud of that, because I live and breathe Maine life, and that makes me proud, and I've worked hard to get there. And
that's awesome.
Not inexpensive either.
No.
So, there's more than blood, sweat, and tears, that I've scraped by
There's
to get
dollars
to.
and cents.
Yeah, every penny.
So is there a book or an app or a website that has helped you, and how has it helped you?
There's In the Company of Women, I believe is the title of the book right now that's on my desk. And it's just, every page is a new feature of a woman. And when I get discouraged or need inspiration, they are stories of women entrepreneurs from all over the country. And I just stop and, read one page out of that to whether it be wanting to be encouraged or needing a new idea. These women are from all walks of life. So that's something that's on my desk that when I need a break, I just kind of flip the page and read about them. But honestly, for me, what helps the most is watching other videos and content and getting inspiration from what others around the world are doing. So Vimeo and YouTube, I really geek out on videos and watching what you might see and not notice. I am like, wow, did you see that transition or the lighting or the audio or the interview and the question and the sound? And so I get inspiration from videos really and watching what people do, in addition to listening to your podcast with other entrepreneurs. Obviously, there's two sides to my business. There's the creative and then the business side of it. So but yeah, I really geek out on watching video.
And speaking of sound, I love the way you've used music from Ghost of Paul Revere as the open for your show.
They're awesome. And not only are they so talented, but they are also main lifers. They have an amazing story. And I get goosebumps every time the show comes on. They're just so good. And, why not try to create or promote through all sorts of little details like that in my show, promoting Maine. And they've been great partners. They're just so cool.
Well, yeah, I love watching the open of the show. And if I'm in the other room, I hear it's like, oh, yes, I can't wait.
Well, I think about, it's been 5 years, next year is 6. Should I change it? And I still, even though I put it on the screen, it's After Many Miles by Ghost of Paul Revere, people still email me weekly. What is that song and who sings it? So it's still a jingle that everyone loves.
Yes, it is.
It's one of their, I think, first songs. So never gets old for me either.
Yeah, that's great. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
I always say, obviously, email. When you go to my website, mainlifemedia.com, you can contact me. I get a lot of viewer feedback and emails that way. My personal Instagram, which I never really thought would be a way for me to connect with people, but I've become friends with people I don't even know on Instagram, and I follow them. They follow me. I feel like I know them, but and we have these conversations over Instagram. That's so funny. I can't wait to meet them in person, but I do meet a lot of people that way. Facebook is a different tool for me now. It's interesting to see social media evolve. Don't Facebook message me because I get so many that it's hard to keep all of your emails and messages in one place. So yeah, right now, at least I'm saying Instagram messaging and email, or just saying hi to me. I was out last night and somebody pitched me something that was great. And I Instagram messaged her today and said, thanks for that idea. I'm going to follow up. So
speaking of being out last night, I actually went out to dinner last night at 4th Street. And oh, wow, they have such a beautiful setup outside. I was thinking they should just keep doing this, COVID or no COVID.
Doesn't it feel like, it's like this little village in Italy or something now. The old port has just turned into this outdoor, which I love. I mean, eating outside in the summertime in Maine and downtown and any of the communities I've been is just romantic and beautiful to be outside. Why wouldn't you want to be outside? So, yeah, we were at the new place Via Vecchia, which is so beautiful inside. Used to be the old Vignola, and it's where I'm trying to support and get out as much as I can safely to try all these delicious dishes that our chefs create for us.
Yeah, we're so lucky to live here.
Yeah, my belly, I swear, it's growing and there is a baby in there, but there's also creme brulee and pasta. And
Well, you've got to feed that baby.
he's going to have a wide palate.
Well, Erin, this has been so fun.
Thank
I'm
you. It's
so
good to
glad
see
we were
you.
able to make it happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and congratulations on your success too, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. And I hope you have a great day, PR Maven Nation. That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank you for listening, and if you feel that you've gotten value out of today's conversation, consider leaving a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever app you're using to tune in. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should do so. I release a new episode each week, and subscribing will make sure you get an alert when there's a new episode. You can also join the PR Maven Nation by going to prmaven.com/nation and clicking join. It's free, and it's a great community of like-minded individuals who are all looking to learn and grow from one another. If you have an Alexa-enabled device, be sure to add the PR Maven Marketing Minute to your daily flash briefing menu. Thanks again for listening, and have a great rest of your week, PR Maven Nation.